Hi there, I'm Matt Leger, creator and entertainer extraordinaire. Thanks for joining. Today we're jumping into the wild world of vibe coding. And for anybody that doesn't know what that is, we're going to take a look at defining it first of all, looking at how it's become the industry craze that it is, and how it can be both something practical but also fun. It's really fun actually, and I greatly enjoy developing apps and websites as I'm on the treadmill with my phone. We'll get to all that here in a moment, but I'd like to start off by jumping right in. What are you going to need? Right now, you need a blank canvas, and that's very easy to accomplish. How we're going to do this is with Notepad++. So that's the first thing that I would suggest is download yourself the open software, great software, Notepad++, or whatever other code editing software that you might like to use. For anybody who is not familiar with coding, don't worry. You don't necessarily need to know HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It helps to have a basic understanding at least of how it works. But if you don't have any coding experience, no worries. We'll address all that as we go. There are ways to do it without coding, let's just say that. So what else are we going to need? We're going to need a couple of things in our browser. So I'm just going to open my browser up here, and I'll bring it up to the window so that you can see. So we're going to develop this with AI. And I said we were going to define it, so why don't we start by doing that? Let's just define. Vibe coding is an AI-assisted software development technique where developers use natural language prompts to instruct a large language model, such as ChatGPT or Claude or whatever your preferred LLM is, to generate code, allowing even those with limited programming experience to create applications. This approach emphasizes a rapid prototyping and experimentation, often without in-depth code review or understanding. So for those of you, again, who don't have that coding experience or knowledge, you don't really need it, but you will learn it along the way, believe it or not. Now, let's go over to Claude here, and let's actually get AI's version of what is vibe coding. Let's get the AI's take on this. Vibe coding is a term that emerged in the late 2024, early 2025 to describe a more intuitive, flow-oriented approach to programming, particularly when working with AI coding assistants like Claude, Cursor, and GitHub Copilot. I haven't tried Copilot yet, but I'd like to give it a shot at one point. But definitely Claude and Cursor are both quite effective. The core idea is coding based on high-level intent and vibes rather than meticulous planning. Instead of writing extensive specifications or carefully architecting everything before you start with rough ideas, iterate quickly, trust your intuition, and embrace exploration. And I would add to that that you also, as an added bonus, learn how to code at the basic level at first. The more you spend time with it, the more you expose yourself to it, the more you're going to pick up an aptitude after time. It's inevitable. So there's a pretty good definition of what vibe coding is. Let's go with that. The other important thing that I want to note here before we look at our other applications is that all of this is being done with free accounts. Free Claude account, free ChatGPT. If Claude runs out of time at any point and says come back later, we'll use that opportunity to either take a break, step away, reflect, maybe do some other back-end stuff, or we can flip over to ChatGPT and continue from there. But to be honest with you, the ChatGPT coding, not that great. So I'd rather do most of my coding with Claude, and then if I need to bounce some ideas off of AI, I'll use ChatGPT for that, and I'll save my resources with Claude for strictly or mostly coding. The next thing we're going to want to have open as well is the new Nano Banana. This is a fantastic image generation AI. I would strongly recommend that you get good with this. It helps to have reference images. We're not going to go into detail. I can make a separate video on this. It helps to give it reference images for things like dimensions. You can tweak that here on the right, but it's quite limited, and it likes to give you mostly square pictures. So if you want to have something in another dimension, you'll have to give it a reference image. But we'll start playing with that a little bit later on in the build. And then Photopea to further tweak our pictures and our graphics if we need to. We'll use this free like Photoshop type software. This is available for free online at photop.com. By the way, this is entirely 100% my personal opinion. I'm not being paid or sponsored in any way by any of these companies. What I would like to show you next is what we're aiming for. So this is a site that I developed in probably less than a day, and that's like everything included. The full site build, the coding, the domain purchase, the setup of the domain. So let's say, I don't know, didn't take me a full day, but let's say 8 hours, just to be safe, like a full 8-hour shift of coding. I developed a whole website, and actually I developed a whole brand, and I developed a whole business basically with its own unique website and a very short, punchy URL that I really like. I actually really like this idea a lot. And it basically came to me from my Kijiji shop that I have online, where I just sell action figures and old retro toys and different things. And I thought, why don't I just turn this into a business? And that's exactly what I did here. So it's a business of buying and trading and selling antiques, unusuals, relics, and artifacts. And that's the whole AURA acronym. But yeah, any rare treasures, but mostly stuff from pre-2000. So this basically just links to my Kijiji page. It's very simple, right? And if it all looks squished on the screen, it's because I'm displaying it on a 4K monitor and I haven't worked out all the kinks yet of having it display the same in the viewport on one screen versus another. So it looks very nice on 1080p, but for 4K it looks a little out of whack. On mobile it looks fine. So those are things you're going to have to test, obviously, and that's where it helps to have some coding experience, but not necessary. And to just go through it here, there's a little banner image showing all the different things that I trade, a contact form in case somebody needs to get a hold of me for anything, or if they have some items they'd like to sell or put on the shop. So I do offer affiliation as well, so people can post things on the site. I get a small cut. The local artists and folk artists around here can get most of the proceeds go to them. It's an 80-20 split, so I think that's quite fair. And mostly the 20% just covers my overhead, and then a slight profit margin just to keep things going. So that's just one idea. And again, this was developed in a day, less than a day. Whereas this would have been, I don't know, months maybe of conventional development in the past. So I just wanted to show you what's possible. Now here's another example of kind of a business in a box that I created in, I think this one took me a little bit longer because I put some time and effort into it, like a lot more than say Aura Gifts. I've got maybe, I'd estimate maybe 8 to 12 hours. There's nothing going on here. Home page, this links to my Kijiji shop, this goes to my Facebook page, and then a contact form with an anchor. Nothing fancy here. So less than a day makes sense with modern technology. This took me more closer to 12 to 18 hours, maybe 2 days. Just because I put a little bit more time into finessing things, making sure everything looks nice. I use the right colors, everything fits nicer in the viewport here. If we scroll down, you'll see that this is nicely built out. The modals all work. Everything is beautiful here. If people want to read more, they can. I'm not overwhelming them with a bunch of text on the landing page. It's optional. And I love the look of the modals and the gradients. I'm really happy with this site. Here you can read about a case study from someone I actually worked with. This is an actual case study of a woman who I worked with. God bless her. And she's doing very well for herself now. So I wanted to make sure that was on there. This is the process of how it works. This is, though it's a static page, yes, it's not fancy. It's not a full stack application or website by any means. But look at what's possible here with a simple static page and a single self-contained HTML file, which has everything you need in it. All the stylings, all the JavaScript, all baked in. Even a nice little testimonial from a former colleague. So this is just to give you an idea. And then if you click on this, it goes to my Calendly. If they want to book a meeting for a discovery call or strategy call, I'm calling it here. So hopefully that gets your gears turning on what's possible. Now that was just to show you an example. We're going to have to come up with a business concept for our video here, which I have a feeling is going to work out to probably a series. I'm going to aim for maybe 2 or 3 part series on developing and vibe coding. But I'd like to actually develop an example business that not only does it make money for us, but it actually performs some service in the world that's needed. Remember on one of the previous videos, if you watched the channel, we had talked about the Japanese concept of ikigari, I think it was called, of the three things. Are you good at it? Do you have an aptitude for it? Do you love to do it? Is there a need for it in the world? Right? Those were I think those were the four things. And what I'd like to do here is basically that. So, like a lot of people out there, and don't judge me, I'm a consumer of cannabis, and I don't use it as much as I used to, but definitely on the medicinal side, it's still an important thing for me. Now, that aside, packaging is something that really bothers me, and I'll just come on the camera here for a second to talk about this. Every time I vaporize with the tips. So I have a vape pen here, and I just have a couple puffs every once in a while, and that's really minimized my usage down from smoking a lot of flour and not being good for the lungs and cutting down my lung capacity. So I find that this helps. I use a lot less medicine. But what really bothers me, and you see this across the board in Western capitalist societies, is just such a waste in packaging. And the cannabis industry is notorious for this. So every time you buy a vaporizer tip, let's say, it comes in a container like this, right? Some of them are made of plastic. This one here is made of some type of metal, probably aluminum, and they get thrown away. They don't even get recycled most of the time. People just pitch them in their garbage. They throw them on the side of the road. It's a problem. Like even the ones that come in a tear package that you open, like this package is made of plastic. It's not biodegradable usually. The landfills are filling up with this junk, right? And of course the policymakers have not factored that in. They don't care. They only care about the profit margin and making money. So I thought there's probably an enormous surplus of these that are either waiting to be recycled and just clogging up the recycling systems, or they're just getting pitched in the garbage. This one here, for this particular one, again, no sponsorship, but this is made by a company called Tribal. And I think they focus mainly on vaporizer tips, but I could be wrong on that. They might actually have flour as well. But the point being is that this particular one, at least if you're going to have this level of packaging, make it reusable. Make it something where I can actually reuse it for something. Like, how much manufacturing time did this take to make something like this? And we're just, even the vaporizer tips themselves, I have qualms about even buying them because it's such a waste. It's just going in the landfill to just slowly deteriorate over 1 million years. So anyway, the idea here would be to take something like this, which is a perfectly acceptable and reusable container, but we don't want to have the cannabis stickers and stuff all over it, because obviously someone who doesn't use cannabis or doesn't believe in it won't want that on their container. So the idea would be to either acquire these things somehow, work with the dispensaries maybe, because I think they have a recycling program, some of them, to get those either for free or at an extreme discount. If I can get these for maybe 2 cents a piece, and then I can do something with them, convert them into something useful. See, the sticker's coming off here. Seems to be fairly easy to come off, because they should want you to reuse this, right? There's some of them, obviously, the jars that you get for the flour is, see, of course, the government sticker thing, that's going to leave a residue behind. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, it will. They don't want you to take that off because they don't care. This sticker came off just fine. The one with the ingredients, okay, see this one on the back? That's actually not even a sticker. That's actually part of the metal. So that's going to be covered up. So this is making a case maybe for taking off what you can and then just keeping the rest and have to work with just covering it up. But just to summarize the idea here, once I clean this up, this could be repurposed as a wallet. It could be a case. So inside it could be reused as a case to hold your vaporizer tips, because it has this insert. Now obviously if I'm not using it for that purpose, I would take the insert out, but Tribal has factored this in that probably people are going to want to reuse these. And it has a clip where you can't open it. It is a bit flimsy. Let me just see here. Could be something that I did. But I was going to say some of them are childproof, so you could put maybe like medication in there or something. See, this one of them is already not closing, right? So these might not be the ones, but it's just to give you an example. We're going to use this as our example for the business. And we might discover, as a lot of businesses do, that it's not viable. This looks different. See, this one has black buttons. This has silver buttons. And this actually does, like, I could force it open if I really wanted to, but not easily. So for the purpose of locking out a child, this will do nothing. But for having like a wallet or something easily to throw in your pocket to store things, change maybe, who knows? Not too impressed with the quality on this one, but this one seems fine. Anyway, I'm not actually going to start a business around this. This is just to give you an idea. Suppose you found that this is a lucrative little crack in the market for you to make some money. I'll show you how you can develop the website part of it very quickly so that you can get it off the ground. And the other thing is, if you own a certain domain to do with this that speaks to this somehow, then you're in, because it will be self-explanatory. People will know what the business is about. I don't know. I can't think of an example, but case repurpose or case salvage or junk salvage. Those are probably all taken, but you get the idea. Like packaging resurrection. But the idea there is that you would be getting a supply of cases like this for next to nothing, turning them, using your craft skills to turn them into something nice, and then selling them at a small cost, $5-10 a piece, and making a huge markup. So that's the idea that we're going to use for our example. And of course, in our messaging, like here, it's I'm going to buy and sell and trade antiques and cool retro toys. This would be, hey, help us save the environment while actually getting yourself a little wallet or whatever. So first of all, what I would do, and let's just get started here. So let's go over to Claude and let's just ask Claude. I'm going to start a new chat. I always start a new chat for everything. And that's one trick that I'll share with you now. One little tip is that if you find that AI starts hallucinating on you or it's doing weird stuff, start a new chat and start fresh. This is especially important for things like Nano Banana, as it's very difficult to get it to fix something versus just starting over at the last step that you were happy with. So let's just ask Claude. I'm not going to do extensive research on this, even though I could, but I don't think it's necessary. Is there a viable business in recycling and reusing, repurposing cannabis industry packaging? There is a tremendous amount of waste happening in this industry when people purchase, I should put in Canada just to specify, or maybe North America. In North America, when people purchase cannabis flower, vaporizer, tips, edibles, oil, etc., the packaging doesn't always get recycled and often gets thrown in the trash or on the side of the road, which is contributing significantly to overflowing landfills and consumer products that break down for millions of years. The idea of this business would be to work with dispensary policymakers, who else? Recyclers, waste management, to recover this packaging, and I'll specify only the ones that could be easily repurposed as arts and crafts or some type of other useful product for free or at a very low cost to repurpose. We would lean, and this might seem excessive, but I want to make sure that it understands what I'm going for, almost as a mini business proposal, so that it can give me accurate information. AI really likes specificity. You have to be detailed in your response and tell it exactly what you want. If you leave it too vague or wishy-washy, you're not going to get what you want. And plus, more information is always better than not enough. We would lean heavily into our eco-friendliness and green initiatives. And part of the proceeds for each sale would go towards, I don't know, planting trees. Just as an example. Let's start with that, and we can always refine it and go from there. Alright, so it's usually pretty quick. And again, this is the free version, right? We're using free everything. So you can do all of this today for free by simply registering for free accounts with the services and the apps that I'm about to show you. First one is Claude, obviously, and the other one that I mentioned, Notepad++. It's an intriguing business concept that addresses real environmental problems. Let me search for current information. Moderately promising with significant challenges. Significant challenges, you say. Cannabis packaging material market is experiencing explosive growth, pricing expanding from 85 to 9.3 billion. Good grief. In 9 years. Wow. Okay. 10x growth here plus in 9 years. Substantial waste problem that needs solution. Competition already exists. Okay, this is what I want to know. TerraCycle has partnered with Curaleaf to offer free recycling programs for cannabis packaging. Those are probably the ones that you see in the dispensary. That's not what I'm trying to do. I want to actually recover those, not the materials, but those full intact packages, the ones that still work, and the ones that can be cleaned up and repurposed the best. Like glass, there's a lot of them that are made of glass, and like glass is not cheap. And that's all getting thrown away. My order of preference would be probably glass, metal, plastic. And then the packaging, the tear open packages, you can't really do anything with that I can think of. Treehouse reuses intact packaging for new products and recycles damaged containers. Okay, so this is closer to what I'm aiming for. Let's check these guys out. Yes. Okay, these guys are doing similar to what I'm thinking here. Treehouse incentivizes recycling of cannabis plastic containers. See, maybe they only specialize in the plastic ones, and maybe there's a little corner in the market for metal or glass. Imagine the glass that you could melt down and make other things with. It's going to end up at the recyclers at best, maybe. See, this looks like they're mostly doing plastic. Let's read more. Let's see if it links to their site here. Study, what's the name of this company? See, this is in Boston as well, so there might be an opportunity around in your local area, right? I'm going to assume that there is because there's tons of dispensaries in a small town. So it's called Treehouse Craft Cannabis. Okay, so this is an initiative that was started by a dispensary, it looks like, called Treehouse. So again, this is not quite... This is a service that all the power to them and respect. I take my hat off to them. They've implemented in their own shop to recycle and show by example. Phenomenal. Not a competitor of mine. So just to be, before I even keep reading with those, because I'm not trying to set up a recycling program in the dispensaries, which is what most of these businesses are doing. They are either a recycling program with bins in the dispensaries, or they are the dispensary themselves and are launching an initiative internally to offset some of their packaging waste, pressure, and carbon footprint. My idea is to source either metal or glass packaging, clean them up, and turn them into crafts or low-cost items for resale, like wallets, containers, pill storage, medicine pouches, or tinder bundles, tinder bundle kits, etc. That would be a good one, actually. That's a really good one, because this right here is the perfect size, like credit card size almost, but thicker. It's maybe 3/4 of an inch thick, and that'd be perfect for a little tinder bundle kit. You could sell those that would have everything inside, like your little char cloth, maybe a little flint and steel to get a fire going really quickly, maybe a bit of pitch in there as well. those would sell $5 a piece, buying them for next to nothing or getting them for free. And then you slap a little sticker on it. Put a sticker on there on both sides, or maybe even on one side, since I was able to get the sticker off, the original sticker. Let's just see what it says after this. Absolute Light, thank you for clarifying. Your business model is fundamentally different. You're not competing with those recycling programs at all. You're actually operating downstream from them. Yes, exactly. In the waste stream, doing upcycling. That was the word I was looking for. Repurposing, upcycling, rather than traditional recycling. Perfect. Now I can give you a much more. See, so even with my really detailed initial prompt, it didn't quite get what we were trying to do, and it thought that there was competition where there was none. Now it still gave us some really good facts here, that the packaging industry itself is almost at $10 billion by 2030. I wouldn't have thought so, but here we are. It's a huge industry. It's very lucrative. Okay, so what does it say here? Now I can give a much more accurate assessment, it says. Your business model, yes, now it gets it. Upcycling, repurposing, running a craft business with a cannabis packaging niche. Now, the great part about this business is once I get the website going, I don't necessarily even need the website, but websites build credibility. So if I can get a really good domain, this will now allow me to make a business card and start handing it out to people with a wanted sheet and start bringing these around. If I start buying these for 5 cents a piece, you don't think people are going to start collecting them like they used to do with cans, right? People are going to start doing the same thing with you, with your business, with these things, right? Buy them 10 cents a piece, I'll just put them aside. Buy one of these, I don't know, like, I don't buy a lot of these, but let's say like someone that uses this regularly, they might buy 4 or 5 of these a week, who knows? And they get some money back at least for it, instead of just throwing it in the recycling and getting nothing. If you're selling them even at $10 a piece for the finished product and you pay $1, that's pretty darn good. I would pay $1 potentially. That would really bring them to you. If people were getting $1 a piece for those, they'd be collecting them, or even a quarter a piece. So anyway, so lower barriers to entry, absolutely. Higher profit margins, yeah. Built-in marketing angle, that's right. It's not just a novelty thing, it's actually helping the world to a certain degree. We're not competing with those recycling companies, we're actually could be partnering with them potentially. Product ideas you mentioned are smart. Wallets, pouches, pill medicine storage, Tinder bundles, small organizers. Those glass jars are perfect if you make a nice design. This is the great part of this idea. You could work with schools, people building these things for you, and they get a cut. Once this is profitable, like I could start this out of my basement here or in the garage, and once that becomes unmanageable and there's enough business there, I could hire somebody to do these for me. I could hire a couple of students to build these things, or I could hire my kids or whoever wants to build them, to make them. Somebody that's really good with arts and crafts would love to do something like this. And they make a little money on the side. Why not? So many opportunities here. And it's community based. That's what I love the most about it. It's working directly with people on all sides. The only thing that's back end is the website, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in this series. So we've pretty much got all our bases covered. So this part is important. This is the business validation phase. Is this even an idea that I should spend some time on? At first, when I had the idea earlier today, I thought, I don't know. The more I'm fleshing it out here, the more I see there's totally a business here. For somebody that wants a little side gig to make a few bucks part-time, there's totally a side hustle here. So there's another opportunity for you. Building websites, grab the domain, build the basic structure of the business, and then sell it to somebody for cheap. Took you barely any time to make it, you go on to the next one. If you're like me and you've always got these ideas and you're just an entrepreneur by nature, this is going to come easy for you. Just build it, create it, sell it, move on to the next amazing project, and then you're doing that much more good in the world. It's fantastic to be involved in recycling like this, but that's just one small area. What if you could touch 100 different areas like that of eco-friendliness in your lifetime by just developing these kind of businesses? You have to think really big, and that's thinking as big as I can. First aid kits, I love that. Desk organizers, sure. Planters, yeah, that's a great idea too. Critical success factors, sourcing strategy. Partner with 3 to 5 local dispensaries. Now, I'd have to research and see, are they getting the packages back somehow, because they're typically just selling them and they're sending them out the door. They're not usually coming back unless they have one of those recycling bins. So rather than partner with the dispensaries, I would approach those recycling companies and see if they'd be willing to cut me a deal, or at least let me have some or all of their metallic, especially. I'd have to make a list and see what are the best ones, like this one here, and then rate it. And then take like my top 10 and see if they'd be willing to just sell me those. Or if it's just everything, or if they'd be willing to give what they'd be willing to give. If it's just plastic or metal or glass. And just have a conversation. Cleaning protocol, like this is all manual work at first, but this could be eventually outsourced, or there could be a proprietary process. Once you start making some money, that could be a way to do this in a more automated or streamlined way. Legal consideration, of course, there would have to be no residue. Remove cover dispensary logos, yeah, obviously. Verify you can legally resell items with cannabis branding. There would be no remnants of cannabis branding. Here, it's not really branding, it's more like regulation packaging stuff that they have to put, like the equivalent of, say, ingredients on food. But this could all be covered up and painted or whatever. I'm not too concerned about that. It could be buffed off even with a process. There's a number of different ways we could go with it. Target market, cannabis consumers, zero waste sustainability communities, festival outdoor enthusiasts, everyday care. I would just put it on something like this, on a shop, and just make a deal with the shop owner, and let's say they get 20%, I get 80%. And if I'm selling things for $5-10, it's going to sell like hotcakes. Everybody's winning. So it really is starting to look like there's a business here. That's what you want before you move forward with developing your site and all this and vibe coding. It's fun and everything, but you have to not waste your time. If it's something that's not going to even get off the ground, probably better to refocus and take some time, research some more, and figure out something that's more likely to be long-term beneficial for you. Realistic concerns, stigma. They're going to have absolutely no idea that it's even related to cannabis by the time that we're done with it, so that's not a problem. Scaling, labor intensive, yes, that's why I said as soon as it becomes profitable enough and unsustainable as a one-person operation, then you hire some part-time help or get some friends and family to give you a hand until you can afford to hire somebody. Very easy to solve that. Supply consistency. You need to be steady supply. No problem there. The consumption rate for this kind of stuff, especially with the number of dispensaries, I could go to bigger cities even if I needed to. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Pricing balance. Need to price high enough to profit but low enough that people don't think I could make this myself. Sure, you could, but they're going to be so nice for $5 or $10 that you won't want to. You'll just want to buy it because it would take you hours to do this kind of stuff yourself. Financial reality checks, time, cleaning, crafting, materials, marketing. I don't know what it's talking about here for materials. This is actually more viable than traditional recycling operator. You could potentially make 50 to 70. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. 50 to 70% gross margin is enough validation to be able to move forward on the business. Okay, so that's selling products for 15 to 45, it says here though. So they're going to have to be really nice. And hiring local artists to work on these things. Give them a decent wage, steady money coming in, and they get to produce amazing containers. Think Altoid container, but painted and crafted by local crafts people and artists. I don't know if that's going to help or hurt the idea. Now we're talking. That's a much clearer vision, and honestly, it's quite compelling. You're building a platform, not just a product line. So where are we going with all this, folks? Whenever I have a pretty good feeling that Claude understands the basic business proposal, I'm going to have him then start creating our site. Right now, I'm just making sure that he understands exactly what I'm trying to build here. Once I introduce the idea of the local artists being the ones who are going to work on this, because I'm not an artist myself, I don't want to start having to buy stickers and printers and all these things. So a local artist that'd be willing to paint it would be ideal. Or if we do stickers, they could be blank, and then the artist could do their work on the sticker, and then I add the sticker to the tin. Wholesale to artists, sell clean containers to artists, I don't know where it came up with this, but volume needed to hit 50,000 annual profits would be between 4 to 5,000 units per year. That's 8 to 100 units per week. So one of the first things would be sourcing the material and getting a whole bunch of it. That means probably going from dispensary to dispensary or recycling plant or whatever to get 80 to 100 per week. It could be doable. Positive PR would help, yes. Free waste removal service. I could offer to be one of those and then get everything. It's just I don't want the plastic ones necessarily. Although if they could be recycled and made back into containers for the same purpose, that would be all right too. Maybe I could sell or recycle the plastic and keep the other containers. It would give me my full selection of whatever I want to do. Target group for artists, local art students, craft fair regulars, Instagram, TikTok artists, retired hobbyists, art therapy programs, sure. Daycares, prisons, anything. People looking for work, people that are having a hard time finding work, which is a lot of people right now. It's really a service of providing a product, yes, but giving back to the community. That's what I love the most about it. It's helping on so many fronts, and it might make us some good money too while we're at it. It's a win-win-win. Win. Artistic style, hand-painted, geometric abstract patterns, yes. Pop culture references, sure. Caricatures of people, local landmarks, personalized custom orders. So now we're getting up there. This is more like in the $10 to $15 range. Now, if somebody's going to make a nice caricature or a nice abstract painting, I'd be charging more like 15, 20 bucks. Places to sell, Etsy, Instagram, 2 to 3 local craft markets. So now it's breaking it down in phases. So I think we've got enough, at least for our example here, to move forward. So I'm going to now ask Claude to make our preliminary website. We're going to wrap up this one. This is going to be the end of part 1. And we're going to do the rest of the actual building now that we have a viable business model, or potentially viable. We're going to do the actual vibe coding in the next episode. So don't forget to tune in. But let's get at least the basic structure, and I'll show you how to pop that into your Notepad++. All right. This is important too. Now, okay, so great. Now, take everything we have learned here, which validates the business model, and let's create a simple website. I'll put a static website just so it knows, very simple. Static website to build authority in the cannabis packaging recycling industry. Build credibility, ability as an environmentalist and nature lover. Partner with local artists and community to produce upcycled products from cannabis industry waste. And for awareness, let's make sure our site includes a good page, or at least a solid section regarding our mission to reduce landfill pressures from at least one industry that produces a lot of waste through its packaging. One thing we can do, and I haven't done this before, but why not? Let's do it. AI loves reference images. So what you can do is just grab like an MS Paint or something, and then just imagine how you want your site to look. It doesn't matter how crappy your paint thing looks. So let's just go like this. We're going to go here. That'll be the logo, let's say. And then here for menu items, maybe we want home and an about, obviously. Contact, services. It's a shop, really. Shop, about, contact. And then let's put our social here, just to have something in the menu. Alright, so it'll understand that's a navigation menu, I think. Whether it'll size it up accordingly or not, I don't know. So we should probably try to be as close to what we want as possible. There's the logo, and here This is our hero section, and usually there is a call to action down here. This could be anything. You don't have to follow this traditional approach. We're just doing an example right now. This is going to be your, I'll just spell it out. Call to action button. This is your main tagline, and then maybe subheading text. Let's just see what it does with this. Okay, so I'm not even going to save it. It's just to give it an idea roughly what to do. And I'm just going to take a screenshot actually like this. I'm curious to see what it's going to do. Attached is a wireframe. My business partner does it, his building this way all the time, and it works quite well for him. So maybe I should start doing it this way too. Attached is a wireframe of the basic layout of the main page and hero section. The spacing is not exact or to scale. Adjust accordingly for whatever looks best aesthetically with a modern and unique design. The site should be innovative but not over the top. Keep it clean and professional. And I would even add simple. Keep it simple, clean, and professional. The main goal should be to highlight our eco-green initiative. We're way more about helping clean up the environment than we are about making a bunch of money. So there's the prompt that we're going to use for our initial build. You can see it drafting now. This is the fun part, is we get to watch it build in real time. So what you're seeing, for anybody that doesn't know, here on the right, this is an HTML file that it's building for us right now. At the very top, there is some metadata and other stuff that you have on pretty much all HTML documents. This is what we're going to put into our Notepad++. Remember I showed you at the beginning this blank canvas here? Notepad++ is going to receive this information here. Greencraft, ooh, I like that. Greencraft Collective, transforming cannabis waste into art. Fantastic. Now right below that, it has the styles. So think of it this way. The HTML is like the skeleton of your website. The CSS is kind of like the style, how it looks, and the JavaScript would be how it behaves. So these three things work together to make a conventional HTML static website. And here we go. Look at that. It looks like one of those recycling type websites. People may mistakenly think that we're in competition with them, but when they read on, they realize that we're actually partnering with them. See, this is great. This is a website that's almost ready to go. And that took, what, not that long. The business development took the longest part, but the actual prompting and then it running the site took maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. Become an artist partner. I love that. Some stats, a nice big footer at the bottom. This is great. Home. Wait, it doesn't open links. This is going to jump to various parts on the page with anchors. That's great. These one-page designs are the modern kind of look and feel. So this works for me. Now, notice how it didn't really factor in our wireframe. Matter of fact, it did listen. I gave it the liberty to rearrange things however it wanted to, but it understood exactly what we wanted here. It's got our logo, which I don't know if you'd call that a logo, but that can be replaced with an actual logo in the top left. It's got the menu. It's got the heading. It's got the subheading. It's got the subheading text, or the tagline rather. It's got the subheading text, and it's got our button, our CTA button. And it looks pretty darn good on 4K. All right, so the next thing before we wrap up here is I'm just going to show you what this looks like when we just load it up. So that's, believe it or not, that's the bulk of our web building done. So see how the business development is probably like 95% of it. The actual building initially, very, very fast, very, very light. Now, this is going to be a bit of a different load up here. Now, I normally wouldn't teach this because this is not the way I would recommend for you to do it. But for the sake of actually demoing this website for you now, we use a service called Content Creator Machine. And it's a lovely service. And I want the panel though. App. Let's try that. It's a bit on the expensive side, but this thing will do everything for you. You can create websites with it. You can create courses. It handles the e-commerce part of it. It handles the funnels. You can do marketing. You can do all kinds of things. Contact forms. It's great. That's the nice part with these static websites is you can load it into basically any code snippet. So right here, we're going to create a new website, and I'm going to call it Greencraft. I love that. We'll make sure it's all together like it suggested. Greencraft Collective. Okay, I could have called it that, but it's all good. We're going to create a new page. Call it Home. This is just for simplicity and speed, but normally I wouldn't do it this way. I have different options for hosting. So just so I can copy the code snippet the way I like, I'm going to use an existing site. Let's just go with Aura. Pick the home page. Import. Now it spins forever for some reason, so we can go right into the edit. If you don't understand how this works, don't worry about it. We're not actually going to do it this way when we go to build our site in the next few episodes, so don't worry about this. This is simply to demonstrate. If anybody wants to know more about Content Creator Machine, or this is actually all based on Go High Level. It's a white label platform where people can make stuff like this, like Content Creator Machine did. So now if I save that, that should look more like what we're going for, I think. Okay, so it looks better now, but I don't know what's going on. We'll have to fix this. These kind of things are almost inevitable. They're extremely likely to happen. That's why I say you need to have some basic understanding of coding, and if not, you're going to develop it very quickly to be able to work through this kind of thing. That'll be it for today. Join on the next episode where we're going to wrap all this together, and it's going to start to make more sense. It's going to feel overwhelming at first. It's going to be like, oh my God, how am I going to do all this? It's not that bad, trust me. You'll see on the next episode where this is all going to start coming together. And if you follow those very specific steps, one after the other, you can't go wrong. It's always the same process. Business development and validation was 95% of this video, which means that's most of your time spent initially. A very quick 5 to 10 minute initial build to have some type of framework to work off of and to build off of, as we've created here with this nice, I like it, Greencraft Collective. It needs a couple of tweaks, but it's basically there. And then the rest of it, believe it or not, is troubleshooting. And if you're not a patient type, if you don't like going back and forth, AI can do a lot of that for you, especially if you're willing to pay for a subscription, which might only cost you like 20 or 25 bucks a month. It'll do all that for you so you don't have to do it. I prefer to do my coding still manually for some things because I like the extra attention to detail and the hands-on part of it so that I can tweak things very quickly that are simple and I don't have to wait for the AI to re-render the whole code. Because that's the problem here is if I needed to make even a small change, if you don't know where to copy and paste that change into your HTML code, you're going to have Claude or whatever rebuild the entire code for you, which takes time, and then you have to go and copy and paste it and replace, and it's a real pain in the butt. So you want to avoid that if possible. If you can afford a more high-end coding software such as like Replit or Cursor, those are going to do most of it for you, but you're going to pay. The subscription is based on a credit system for Replit. I don't know about Cursor, I haven't used that one too much. But with Replit, it's based on a credit, so you can get a subscription but run out of your time very quickly, and the compute time gets used very fast because it's using a lot of compute time for basically everything it's doing. And additional funding for those type of builds can add up very quickly. So I wouldn't suggest you do that unless you can afford to, which will definitely speed up the process and get you there faster. But even with free services like this, you're looking at a day or two tops to develop a fairly decent site. And it'll get better and better from there, especially if you learn the coding and are able to apply those changes yourself. And you know what to look for and you know where to bring innovation. That's all going to work in your favor. So that's it for this episode. Thanks again for watching. See you on the next one where we're going to actually start building and the joy, the fun part of actually troubleshooting this sucker, and see if we can start by fixing some of our background colors and some of the aesthetics to get it closer to what we were seeing in Claude. And then as well, I'd like to work on a logo next time so we can have an official Greencraft Collective. So join again next time where we're going to dive deeper into the fun world of vibe coding. See you then.